Adbudayastadatmanasta nishta tatparayana Vichanti apunar avritim jnana nirduta kalmashaha. Translation. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Translation. The Supreme Transcendental Truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the Supreme Reality, who is understood to be the knower of the Supreme as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmanohi pratishtaham. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the Supreme Reality. One whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge of everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality in Krishna, and equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. Okay, so the topic today is shelter and taking shelter. All of us, we had some difficult times in our life, less difficult or more difficult, but it happens sometimes, isn't it? You don't want the difficulties to come, but anyway, they appear, they come. So, in difficult situations, we want to take shelter somewhere or at someone. So I have a question for all of you. Please give me examples. What are your shelters? When you are in a difficult situation, in a difficult moment, where do you take shelter?
State Farm is there.
Okay. Good. Tom?
Apples and peanut butter.
Yes.
Apples and peanut butter. Okay, that's a nice shelter. I like it. I can join you.
I just ate one.
Okay. Yes, bro.
Taking advices from people.
Advice. Okay, looking for advice from wise people. Great.
Meditation.
Meditation. Nice.
Art.
Art. Great.
Music,
Music. Okay.
hiking in the mountains,
Hiking. Great.
family.
Family. Okay, yeah. I like this. Like, we can take shelter in things, but we can also take shelter in personalities, in people. Yes.
I like to, the book I'm reading, whatever Christian book I'm reading, right now I'm reading Chaitanya, the teachings. I hold it close to my heart. And
Okay.
take shelter in it.
So that's your shelter, spiritual book. Great, nice. Something else?
Philosophy.
Philosophy. Okay. Definitely we can take shelter in philosophy. What about something more practical? Can you give me something more?
Productivity, working out, or projects.
Okay, projects,
Work.
your job.
Yeah.
You have a problems, okay, you don't think about the problems, you just go into your job, okay? What else?
Knitting.
Okay, knitting.
Friends.
Friends, yes.
I usually end up at the temple upstairs.
Okay, spiritual shelter, great.
People take shelter in forgetfulness.
Forgetfulness.
Like, forget your problems.
Okay.
They don't even exist anymore.
What about We take shelter. Spending, making money. I have money, I have security, I have shelter, isn't it?
People do just go shopping, yeah.
Shopping also, yeah. Put your mind somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, something else? Some other ideas?
Driving.
Driving. I have a good friend of mine, yes, when he has the problems, he just goes to drive for whatever, 200 miles. When he comes back, he's a new person. That's his therapy, driving therapy. Maybe we have to start a new business, huh? Come drive with us for 2 hours. Yeah, so we have, every one of us has a place where he goes when there is a difficulty, there is a difficult moment. It can be mental, it can be physical, it can be connected with relationships. We try to find a way to come out of it, to escape out of it. And all of us, we are going through different difficult periods, and some are a little bit difficult, and you can kind of come out of them very easily, but sometimes we have difficult challenges in life, isn't it? Like, for example, if they stop you outside and they give you a fine, this is a problem, yes? If the fine is $100, it's a problem. If it's 300, it's bigger problem. If it's 1,300, it's a serious problem. But I mean, you go, you work whatever, 1 week, 2 weeks, job done. You can relatively easily take care of this situation. But there are bigger problems, like health problems. You have some serious health issue. What do you do then? Okay, I will arrange the situation with money, but sometimes you cannot. You cannot deal. Or relationship problems. Like in the world, we can find so many people, and they are, like, as they say, filthy rich. They have so much money, they can do anything. They can buy anything, and even anyone. But sometimes they have such a serious problems within their family that this really upsets them completely, like creates a huge drama in their life. Whatever. You make all these billions for your son, and suddenly your son, I don't know, decides to become a monk in the Hare Krishna temple. What do you do? That's a serious problem, huh? I mean, you had all these plans for him, and you were dreaming that he'll be like your expansion and he'll fulfill all your desires, and suddenly it's over. He becomes a monk. Or whatever, your daughter, you wanted her to finish Columbia University and this and that, and she escaped with some boy and goes to Africa and is helping the poor people in Africa. And what do you do? How do you deal with this situation? It's also a difficult situation to deal with. So like that, we could say, gradation of difficulties in our life. But in all cases, we need a shelter. To deal with each and every situation, you need some shelter. You have to go somewhere so that you can balance your life. Now, we have good examples about shelters. Experience shows that if you have only one shelter, it may not be enough. Do you agree with this? For example, you have the shelter of your money, but there are situations where your money cannot help you. Like we gave the example with relationships. You may have lots of money, sometimes you cannot buy a relationship with the money. Or health, for example. So it looks like if we have only one shelter and we think that this one shelter will give us everything perfect, nice in our life, we may have difficult situation. So it means the better will be if we have more shelters, more than one. And actually the experience shows that the more the better. Let's say if you have 5 shelters and one of them may not work out, but you can go to the next one. And if this one doesn't work out, you go to the next one. And some of them will work. theoretically speaking. We have mathematicians here. I think there is a good percentage that, okay, if you have 5 shelters, something will work. So, this one point I wanted to make. We should find as many as possible shelters in our life. And shelter would mean something that gives you security, but shelter also may mean something that actually, in a difficult moment, you can go there and forget about your problems, like whatever, art, or music, or sports, meditation, something, whatever is helping you to go beyond it. Now we may have many shelters. Do you think, is there a situation where all our shelters may fail? Or this is not possible?
Yes, it can fail.
Health.
But if you have lots of money, you can freeze yourself, and then in the future, when the science is very advanced, they can help you.
Money.
No? But what about 100 years? Maybe yes. Maybe you'll be able to conquer the laws of nature, become immortal. Maybe this shelter will help me. Isn't it that with money you can fix all problems?
Not all.
I always told people working hard because they think money solves all the problems, isn't it?
Not true. Not true.
Only like temporarily.
Temporarily, okay. I like this. Yes, money definitely can help, can solve problems. But if they can solve completely and all the problems, well, maybe yes, maybe no. Yes, so it looks like not always our shelters can give us complete satisfaction, complete happiness. So then what is the solution? What can we do?
You need
Give-
a durable shelter. You need a durable shelter.
Durable
Yeah,
shelter.
your
I
shelter
really
will
like
succeed.
this.
It's durable.
So how can we understand that something is durable shelter?
You put work and hard work into it. If you earned it.
Okay, I may think that my durable shelter is my 4-floor house on Long Island.
Did you build it?
I bought it with my hard-earned money,
Okay. There you go.
but it's a good shelter. I mean, they told me it can survive even tornadoes.
But the price of the house might go down. The value of it goes down.
Maybe, but it can go up also.
But you don't know if you built it right. Just saying.
They told me, and I gave a good money.
So trust in people's word. That's your shelter.
Yeah, and I see the house is a good house. Maybe
Okay,
I'll
so
go
you
and
know
buy a
what
house in
do you know
Germany
what
or
a good
Belgium,
house- Do you know what a
like
good
a
house
real
looks like?
stone house.
How do you know what a good house looks like? You build one. A
Should
good
be
one.
should be strong.
How do you know it's strong? Have you built a strong house? I'm just saying the work you put into it makes it durable every time.
Okay, I agree
Good.
with this point. What else? What else will give us sufficient shelter?
Faith.
How faith will give you shelter?
Just put all
It
your-
looks too abstract to me.
You have to put your problems are God's problems.
You give your problems to God. I like this strategy. So you have a problem and you go to the temple and you say, God, it's not my problem, it's your problem. It works for you?
I don't know. That's the only hope. That's the only solution.
Okay, we have to try it out. But I like it as a concept. It's a nice concept. Actually, yeah, it is a fact. Yes.
I mean, I think shelter from a faith perspective is usually not like, not to count your idea, but like it's not the idea like, you just go and say that these are your problems. You ask for resilience to get you through those problems, and that's where faith comes in actually.
You ask for help. Okay, I like this point very much. Yes, when we are in a difficult situation, we may find shelter in objects, or we may try to find shelter in personalities, in people, and you ask for help. I'm trying to deal with this on my own, but I cannot, so can you help me? Can you support me in this difficult situation? And very often this works, yes? But what about if we have a situation that it looks so hopeless that we try for so many personalities, so many shelters, and nothing can help? What we're going to do then?
You have to look inside, maybe,
Look inside, okay.
and try to manage your feelings.
Okay, and Stephanie was showing.
Yeah, for me, it's sort of in line with what Marisol said. Calming my mind, because at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, who am I, right? Over and over again. And then eventually just, for me, my sort of saving grace, japa. Just do it over and over, and then all of a sudden the problems, they don't seem as bad anymore.
Meditation.
Even though they're,
Okay, very nice.
yeah.
Yes, so you can take shelter in the spiritual practice also. Spiritual shelter. This will elevate your consciousness, and you will be in the same reality, but you will perceive the reality in a little bit different way. Maybe not such a bad way. Did you experience sometimes you have a serious problem and you don't know what to do, and you just decide, okay, I don't want to think about this now, and you just go and you have a nice sleep, and next morning the problem doesn't look so bad anymore?
Yeah.
It's still there, but it's not really as big as it was the last night. So it shows that if we are in a good consciousness, there is a bigger chance that in an easier way we can solve our problems. That's also, I would say, a nice solution. So yes, we have two kinds of shelters. We have a great variety of material shelters, and we have also spiritual shelters. So I would say, from material perspective, the more shelters we have, the better. Because sometimes some of them won't last, but we can immediately take shelter in something else. Yes? You have 5 friends, and you have a problem with one of your friends. Okay, I will try to work on this relationship, but I can go now and associate with the other one. So it's not so bad. If you have only one friend, and you have a problem with him, then it becomes very, very difficult. So the more shelters you have materially, it's good. But then sometimes we will have situations that neither of our material shelters will help us. We will need something higher. And then we need something spiritual in our life. And some people understand this like very easily. Some people they don't. Some people they think this is some imagination. Maybe you are thinking you are experiencing something. But those people who are spiritual, for them, spirituality is perception in their life. It is something real. And there are many, many interesting stories in this regard. We can tell many stories. Like I remember when I was a young boy, I was grade 4 at school. So this would mean like 10, 11 years old. And one winter, there was a big pandemic, like flu, and normally at that time they closed the school, but this time they decided not to close it, but we were very little people, maybe like 10, 12 students in our group. So the teacher said, okay, instead of taking more material, the subject was maths, she said, I'll just read you a logical stories from one book, and you should try to find the answer. So she said, we'll divide into 2 teams. I'll be one team, the teacher, and I'm against all of you. So let's see who is going to win. And she started reading all kinds of interesting logical tasks, and you have to think about it and give a solution. It was fun, like young kids, they like challenge. So we were kind of doing good. Then at the end, she gave us some kind of very difficult task. And everyone was trying and giving some solutions, some answers, but no, we couldn't do anything. And then she was asking, do you give up? Do you give up? But we didn't want her to give up. So all the time someone was putting his hand up just so that we can continue, not to give up. And then at some point she said, okay, it looks like you don't have any more suggestions, so looks like I am winning, and I didn't want it. So I raised my hand, and she said, okay, so what's the solution? And I started getting up to say the answer, but in my mind I knew I don't know the answer. So I didn't know what I'm going to do now. But I was like internally straining. I wanted to come up with something, but I didn't have any idea what is the answer. And then the moment I was straight, suddenly from my mouth came out something. And she said, yes, this is the answer. How did you figure it out? And I was, externally I was like, well, I thought about it. But internally I was like, what was that? I don't know this. I didn't say this. Something happened. Just something came out of my mouth. And that was like interesting situation in my life that made me think that, okay, there is something beyond what we experience with our external senses in this world. So yeah, for many people this is a reality. Spiritual life and spiritual practice is a reality. And yeah, then more and more things are happening in life, and in one has eyes, open eyes, he would see them. He will understand there is something higher in life. So the whole point is there are things that they cannot give us enough shelter in certain situations, and then we need a spiritual shelter. And here in this verse of Bhagavad Gita it is explained that Krishna, or God Supreme, He is the highest shelter. We can take shelter in different spiritual methods, but the ultimate shelter, the higher shelter, is Krishna. And when we say Krishna, we mean a certain extremely powerful personality. And we can call him with many names. We can call him Allah, we can call him Yahweh, we can call him Buddha, we can call him Jesus, but it's the same person, it's the same almighty personality, which the Vedas are saying he is the Ishvara Parama Krishna, he is the source of everything, he is the supreme controller, he is the most powerful personality. And the Vedas are saying that he is the supreme shelter. If we have a moment in our life that we try to find shelter, a solution of certain problem, but we cannot, okay, we can try this one. And maybe it will work. Or maybe for some it will work, for others may not work, but we can try. It's an option. There's an interesting book, it's called Dive Deep, and it describes that the spiritual life and spiritual practice has a different levels in it. So one level of spiritual practice is a spiritual organization. For example, you find some whatever temple, church, mosque, and you go there and you take shelter in this place. And okay, there are nice people and nice environment, it's a little bit more peaceful, you kind of feel secure, you're not out on the street. So it's a shelter, it's a spiritual shelter. But this is still external. It's the external part of the spiritual life. Why? Because at the end of the day, buildings are material and they appear and they exist for some amount of time and then they disappear. And the personalities inside there are also changing. And sometimes there are scandals in the spiritual buildings, so all kind of things are happening. So it is a spiritual shelter. However, it is said that this is the neophyte level of growing in spiritual life. Now there is one more level above. This is the second level, and it's called, this is the process, the spiritual process. If you go in each and every spiritual place, they offer a certain spiritual practice, a process that you can take and you can practice in your life, and this process can give you a shelter. Like for example, Stephanie was mentioning about japa, chanting the mantras, Maha Mantra and other mantras, mantra meditation. Like for example, if you come to the Hare Krishna place, they will tell you, you know what, you have to chant Hare Krishna, and this will free your mind and will liberate you and will all your problems will disappear. And then they will say, you chant and be happy. That's the solution of all problems. So like that, if you go to other place, they can give you other practice. Maybe they will say, okay, 5 times a day you have to bow down and you have to pray and you have to say these names, and you can use beads and whatever. If you go to another place, they will tell you something else. Okay, repeat this prayer, close your eyes, put your back straight, be a real yogi, don't fake it. So like that. And if we take shelter of this spiritual process, then we go deeper in spiritual life. Why? Because the spiritual process is valid everywhere. Like sometimes you may go to a certain spiritual place and they can tell you, you want the truth, you want the light, you can get it only here. And if you come out of this door, impossible. It is not possible. Only here, only now, only through me. That's the only way. But this is not a fact. Why? Because God is the God of all people in this world, isn't it? Can we say that the sun is giving light to only one person? No. The sun gives equally to everyone. So God, He is the Father of everyone. He gives equally to everyone. Have you heard about Kirill and Methodi? These are 2 great saints from Europe. They created a new alphabet. And that was during the Roman times, Byzantine Empire. So the emperor, he said, what is this? What are these speculations? We don't accept this. So he called them. And he said, looks like the Pope, huh? Okay. And he told them, looks like you're deviating, you're doing something strange. What is this? And they said, no, isn't it that all people there are children of God? He said, yes. Isn't it that the sun is giving light to everyone? Yes. Isn't it that all living entities, they should have the right to understand spiritual knowledge? And then the Pope thought about it and said, okay, you have the right here, yes. We should make available the spiritual knowledge for all the people in all different languages. So he accepted. So in the same way, if the sun is the same for all, if God is there for all, that means He is giving to each and every living entity certain spiritual process, some spiritual practice, so that this living entity can take shelter. Okay. So that's even one level higher. You don't take shelter in building. I mean, not that the building is bad. I'm not saying anything against temples or churches or mosques. But it's one level of spirituality. One level higher is you take shelter not of a building. You take shelter of a process, of a spiritual process. And this process is beyond space and time. Because this process, you can bring it with you at home and you can practice the same process. It is not that you have to go to a certain place and only on this place, only at that time, only if these persons allow you, you can practice it and then you'll become enlightened. No, you take the process, you go home and do it. And the process works perfectly. And then even one level higher is our personal connection with this Supreme Being, with God. When you follow the process properly, you should have like internal proof that this is not a fake thing, it's a real. You have opportunity to communicate directly with this spiritual reality. You experience it. Like George Harrison, the famous singer, he was very, very much into spirituality, meditation. He said the taste of the pudding is in tasting the pudding. If you try, you know it's tasty. If you don't try, you don't know. So once you get in deep connection with the Supreme, you understand how the things work. You understand, oh, okay, there is someone who really can help me. He is always there for me. In all circumstances, He will help me. And when you are in a difficult situation and nothing else works, if you take shelter in this place, And if it works one time, your faith increases. You see, wow, it works. Maybe I can try again next time. So next time you try again, and when it happens few times, you really have strong faith that this is not something fate, it really works. It works for you. Maybe for someone else won't work, but for you it is working perfectly. There is an interesting story of a man who was very strong believer, and God appeared and told him, always in the difficult moments I'll be with you. And the man said, but how do you know that? How do you know that you'll be with me? And God told him, don't worry. If you are really in a difficult situation, turn back. And you see your steps, but you also see next to them my steps. And in this way you'll know, I'm always with you. And the man was very happy. Yoo-hoo, okay. And then, gradually, within his lifetime, he had difficult circumstances, difficult situations. And in the most difficult parts of his life, he turned back, and guess what? Only one pair of steps. So he became a little bit doubtful. Well, what's happening here? Like, where is God now? Now I really need him. Other moments I can deal with on my own, but now I really need him and he's not here. What does it mean? So he kind of had some doubts in his mind. So the time came when he went to the spiritual world and met God. And he was very happy and God was very happy. And yoo-hoo. And then he asked, my dear Lord, I have one doubt. He said, yes. You know, you promise whenever I need you, you'll be there for me. And I could just turn back and I could see your steps, and that was the proof that you're there. But the truth is that in the most difficult parts of my life, I look back and you were not there because I saw only one pair of steps. So what about that? And God told him, you know what? These were the moments when I was holding you in my hands. I was carrying you. And the pair of steps that you saw, these were my steps. So it is like that, but it takes a little bit faith and courage to experience this, to make sure for yourself in your personal life that yes, it works. It's not just a place, it's not just a process or a words that I'm repeating. There is a substance behind all this. And how do you find the substance? Well, you have to put a little bit your faith there. That's why in this verse it is said that Krishna is saying, if you put your mind in me, if you put your intelligence in me, if you put your faith in me, and if you make me the ultimate shelter, then I'll be always there for you. I'll always protect you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please, some comments, questions, reflections. I'll be happy to hear from you. Yes.
Question. Can you share an example or a situation where you were losing faith and you regained it through a spiritual practice?
Yes. When I wanted to go first time to India with Pandava, who is on the back, we went to the Indian embassy and we did everything, all the papers, everything, and we thought there will be no problem. I mean, we are not creating troubles, we are just nice young boys and we are going for a touristic purpose, pilgrimage, whatever. So they look at our case and they said, no, cannot go to India. We worked, especially Pada worked for 2 years to collect the money to go to India. And he helped me also. And they just said, no, that's it. Forget about it. Like we had a plan, we worked hard about it. And it's a spiritual purpose. I don't want to go to Hawaii. I want to go to India to study Bhagavad Gita, to do meditation, to study music, mantra. Krishna, why you are not helping us? What's wrong with you? You don't understand that our motivation is very pure and we are here for you. But I said, no, that's it, forget about it. We were like completely devastated. And then we thought, well, I guess we have to come up with something else now. But then they said, okay, just come after one day just to sort out some documents. Let's see. But no, doesn't look like anything will work out. And we were praying, like we were praying seriously. And then next day we entered the embassy and the same guy came and said, 6 months, it's okay? Yes. So we are so happy. Like, Krishna, Haribo. I remember the first time when I went out to distribute spiritual books. You know, in this tradition, the philosophy, the idea is that once you get a spiritual knowledge, you don't keep it just for yourself, you try to share it with others. So sometimes devotees, they go out on the street to chant Hare Krishna, sing, or they try to distribute spiritual books. So when I became a Hare Krishna devotee, and I saw what others are doing, and I said, I want to be also part of this, take me with you. I'm ready to work hard. I can dedicate every day at least 5 hours. And I'm ready to distribute many books. And here you go, no problem. It was January, European winter, lots of snow, let's say, like Germany, at least 30, 40 centimeters of snow, serious winter. And for some reason, at that time, devotees, they were thinking you never go to, let's say, show books in a shop or mall. You have to be on the street. That's it. This is the way to do it, only.
There were no malls then.
That's true, but there were shops. But anyway. And with one other devotee, we just started our spiritual conquest. And we just took one very long street and we started walking. And you walk, and whoever you see, you just try to stop them and to distribute them the book. And we walked and we walked and we walked 3 hours on whatever, -5 maybe. This is something like 20 Fahrenheit maybe. And after 3 hours, I distributed one small book. And I said, Krishna, this is not fair. You're the boss, I'm the worker. You have to make sure that there is some production, some result. Like, why I'm here to work for you? I'll go and find some other boss that is reciprocating better with my endeavors. It doesn't work like that. And I became totally depressed, and I was thinking, this is not for me. Maybe I have to find something else better to do. Maybe I will cook for Krishna, but books, forget about books. And this other devotee, he saw me and he really felt pity on me. He said, don't worry, let's go back to the temple and eat some prasadam. You'll see after that everything will be fine. Let's eat. When you eat, everything becomes better. And I was completely like depressed, almost crying. And I said, yes, let's go. I don't want to do this anymore. And on the way back, he just said, I have to see one person here just for 5 minutes. Please wait for me. And we enter some area like a small market, but not veggie market, more like clothes and so on and so on. So I was just keeping all the books and waiting like that. And he just disappeared. And 2 ladies, they came there. They apparently wanted to try some clothes. And one of the ladies saw me and said, what are these books? And I said, yeah, spiritual books, but people, they're not so interested from these things. She just looked through the books and I had the Bhagavad Gita, like big Bhagavad Gita, that big. And she said, what is this one, the biggest one? I said, well, this one is the best, but nobody cares about this book. And she said, can I see it? I said, yeah, but why do you want to see it? Like, nobody wants to buy this book. And she said, how much you want for this book? I was like, what? She said, I want to buy this book. How much? And I couldn't believe, like I didn't know what to say. So she bought the book. And after 2 minutes, my friend was coming and I started screaming, I started screaming his name. They bought Bhagavad Gita. It's like, quiet, relax, just let's go out and you tell me everything. Like so inspired. And I was, okay, tomorrow we are going again. Let's do it. So, you know, in spiritual life, Krishna sometimes purposefully he's making these things. Because his goal is not just to, let's say, distribute the books or whatever, do his job, but he wants to purify us. And how we become purified? By taking very sincerely shelter. When we approach the Lord with a great sincerity in our heart, this is actually the real purification moment. So the books will be distributed, that's not a problem. But before that, you need a little bit purification. Do you know how you make the stew very, very, very strong?
Beating it.
Huh?
Beating it.
But before that?
Fire?
Yes.
Quickly you cool it.
Yes.
Well, that becomes brittle actually. What do you mean by strong?
Stronger?
Hard?
Yes. Harder.
Yeah, you quench it quickly.
Yes. So you make it very, very hot, then you cool it down immediately. Then again you make it very hot. And this, and also the beating, it makes the stew very, very strong. So Krishna, he likes to do this with us. But not for fun, just to make us very saintly and very pure personalities. He likes to put us constantly in our stretching zone. A place where we cannot do on our own and we have to put our hands in the air and just say, okay, Krishna, I cannot do this. I need help, please help me. And then he is immediately there for us to help us. And this happens again and again and again. And after happening many times, you understand, wow, it works. Krishna is there and he's working through us. He's helping us. Is that okay? Thank you. Something else?
I had a question. What made you change from Christ consciousness to Krishna consciousness?
In my mind, I didn't change. That's a long story. But when I got my first Hare Krishna book, it was not Bhagavad Gita, but like a small book for Krishna, and I read it and completely changed my life and what I want to do in life, and actually gave a meaning of my life. Because at that time I was 16, 17, I didn't know what exactly I want to do with my life. I was studying, I had good marks, and I could just go for a good career. But I was looking at the people and I was thinking, I cannot do that. Like, get up, go work, then eat, then go to sleep, then next day again, just work. And I need something higher to make my life make sense. Otherwise, I cannot do that. So when I read this book of Prabhupada, it completely changed my life. I understood, okay, it should be for God, for Krishna. Then it makes sense. Then everything makes sense. To work, to make money, to make family, everything, then it makes sense. But then I thought, wait a minute, I am born here in this country and here the spirituality is Christianity. Let me see what is this Christianity. I never read the Bible, I don't know anything about the Bible. And that was the first thing I did. I started reading the Bible and I started going every single day to a church. I would just go there and stay there, spend half an hour, 1 hour, whatever, pray, enjoy the peace in the church. So then later I started going to the devotees, also the Hare Krishna devotees. And meanwhile I decided, wait a minute, if I'm going to choose a spiritual path, let me choose the best one. So I started going to other churches also. I want to know everything. I was checking out the situation. And there were some things that it didn't work out for me. Like, for example, in my church there were 2 priests, a father and a son. So I had a better relationship with the son because younger, we could communicate. So I really had him like one of my mentors and leaders and guides in life, in spiritual life. And the wife of this person was my dentist. So one time I was there and he came back from work and they were talking something. He said, okay, I'm going to the shop and I'll buy a few beers and I'm going home. And I was like naive, innocent, like 16, 17 years old boy. And this doesn't make sense in my mind. What do you mean? Like in the spiritual book, it is said spiritual people, they have to be very, very, very pure. So they don't drink, they don't do anything bad. They should be like a personification of purity, of whiteness. And I couldn't take it. Like, how it is possible that the spiritual person is just going, buying alcohol and doing this? No, I refuse to accept this. And then I can continue searching. So, maybe why I choose Hare Krishna? Because I saw there were very little people. Like in the churches, there were so many people. Hare Krishnas, they were very little, but very sincere. So I thought, okay, this looks like these guys, they are doing something really, really serious. Then second thing that really impressed me was, I was a small young boy, and there were people there 40, 50 years old. They spoke with me and they treated me as an equal person. I never felt that like they're trying to explain to me like what is the world and how everything acts and this and that. No, they were sharing knowledge, but in a very neutral and detached way. So this also kind of helped me to understand, wait a minute, they see me as a soul, they don't see me as the body. Like they don't have problem speaking with a very mature person and with me in the same way. So that was like, wow. And then also the knowledge of the Vedas, like there was no question that I could ask and not find the answer in the Vedas. And there was something very interesting that also happened. Like at that time, generally, I was not very much into reading books and this and that. I was more like a naughty boy, sportsman. And one time we were coming back from excursion with my classmates, and I saw a bookstore, and without any reason I decided to enter into this bookstore. I don't do this in my life. I go to sports stores, eating places, but not books. That's not my thing. And then I enter inside and I start looking at the books, and I saw a book, and on the book it was written, The Lost Years of Jesus. And I said, I have to read this book. And I took the book and I paid and I came out with the book. And I couldn't believe. I am giving money for a book. What is that? I don't give money for a book. I give money for other things. Whatever, PlayStations, this, that, but not books. So not only that, but I started reading the book. And that's a very interesting book. Actually, it's a book of a famous person from Russia, Nikolai Ryori. Have you heard about him? He's a famous spiritualist and he is very famous artist also, painter. So he did these few, expeditions to Himalayas especially, and to India, different places. And in a monastery, he found many documents that Jesus was there. He was learning there, he was preaching, like educating people there, and not one, not two, like many documents. And that was, and they were like photos, and they were there into the book. So that was already like, wow, what's happening here? And then there was something also very interesting in this book. One of the, in the New Testament, there are few disciples of Jesus that speak. Luca, John, and Matthew, I think, and Marco, if I'm correct. So John, if I remember correctly, his presentation of Jesus consciousness begins with a verse which is very famous. Maybe you can help me. In the beginning was the Word.
The Word, that's God.
Yeah. So something like that. And there was a quote from Rig Veda. In the beginning of what he was quoting, actually it was exactly the same like with the quote from Rig Veda. And I said, what is this? That means this knowledge and this knowledge is the same knowledge and the same source. And Jesus was there and he was learning this and he was teaching this, and then he came back. And it's true that in the Bible it is written that when Jesus was whatever, 9, 10, he disappeared. And he came back only when he was 30. And he actually explained whatever he explained only for 3 years. So what about these 20 years in his life? Where was he for 20 years? And in the Bible it is mentioned that he met some people and he left with them in eastern direction. So anyway, it was like, this is the knowledge. This is what Jesus came to teach us. Wow. And I was so inspired. And then I started going more and more often to the devotees. So in my mind, it's not two things. It's actually one thing. It's God consciousness. It's Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada explains that in Sanskrit we have the word Krishna, which is name of God. But when this comes to Greek language, in some places in India, Krishna they pronounced as Krishna. And if you go to Greek language, K, it becomes like like
Christos.
Christos. So from Krishna it becomes Christa. And in Greek language you have at the end of the words always S. Someone knows Greek here? No? Kalimera. Yashofile. Anyway, most of their words, like all their streets, at the end they finish always with S. Like Yorgos, their names also. So it becomes Christos. Krishna, Krishta, Christa, Christos. Srila Prabhupada is explaining this. So basically the name of Jesus was Jesus, the son of Krishna. Christos. Like the way how we have two names, and our first name is our name, our second name is our family name or our father's name. So like that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have more time or?
One more question.
One more question. Yes. It's a great book.
Talking about this human life is meant for on the path to liberation. That is called apavarga.
Mm-hmm.
Apavarga. We have no choice how that happens, though, right? Does anybody know what that experience is like?
We don't have choice to come here, or we don't have choice to get out of here. Which one of the two?
The latter. My understanding of coming into Krishna consciousness or Christ consciousness is the end all is enlightenment. Are those two things the same, one and the same, or two different mindsets?
You mean Jesus and Krishna?
Apavarga and enlightenment, are those
Uh-huh.
the ultimate goal of
Okay,
this
I
path?
got it. Yeah, this is just a term that explains enlightenment or spiritual perfection. Pavarga means material existence, and apavarga means the end of the material existence. So basically you achieve a consciousness where you don't experience any problems, any suffering, any tribulations. Srila Prabhupada, he explains what means pavarga. Maybe you can remember.
It's that.
You can help me. It's
in
5 words.
Yeah, in Sanskrit, you
Pa,
have
bha, ba, bha, and ma.
the pa varga, the pa line of the alphabet. It's an acronym, and so pa is parishrama, to struggle,
Work very hard.
and bha is to work so hard you start to get foam at the mouth, like a horse. You know? And bha, pa pena, that's the foam. Bha is the pa is parishrama, working hard. Pa with ph is pena, for foam at the mouth. Ba is bondage. You're entangled in karma. Bha, bh, is for fear, and ma is for death. And so these are the 5 things that we have to experience in this world.
In other words, if you are in this world, there will be some troubles, there will be some problems. But through spiritual practice, you can become free from all the problems, from all the anxieties in life. And you can become completely happy. Do you believe this? Do you want to experience it?
Yes.
Me too. So then you have to find a spiritual process that you can dedicate to. And if you follow nicely this spiritual process, if it's a real spiritual process, it can bring you to this. It can bring you to the situation in your life that you won't experience material stress and problems anymore. Okay, so do you have all this book, Bhagavad Gita? Great. Is there someone who doesn't have this book?
I don't.
Okay, whoever doesn't have this book, we won't allow you to come out of the room without having it. Basically, it's a really must read, one of the greatest spiritual classical books in the world, Bhagavad Gita, and it really can help you on your spiritual journey. So think about it, and if you like, I think we have some copies outside. And it's just whatever, some donation, $5 or $10. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.